right, a Fox News alert now, and from Peter Doocy, we learn that Kamala Harris just completed a phone call with President-elect Donald Trump to concede the election, to congratulate him on winning. Apparently, she discussed the importance of a peaceful transfer of power and being president for all Americans. She is going to be delivering remarks at Howard University, 4 o'clock this afternoon, so we will hear more from her there. And here's where the sleep deprivation kicks in. Just all morning, I've been mixing up Pennsylvania and North Carolina, and I did it again there with the chairman of the NRCC. I said that Trump won back North Carolina. No, he won it in 2016, 2020, and 2024. But every time I've gone to hit North Carolina on the touchable map, I hit Pennsylvania.
That's interesting.
It's like stuck in my brain.
Oh, well, you know what? The next hour and 15 minutes is going to be really fun. You just don't know. It's like watching NASCAR. You just don't know.
It is. You don't know when there's going to be a pileup in turn 3. You get up there in the marbles and everything starts to go squirrely.
Well, this is a moment we've been waiting for, right? Because last night we did not see or hear from Vice President Kamala Harris. But we have now gotten word through Peter Doocy at the White House that she has indeed called the president-elect. So now next we will see and hear her at 4 o'clock. She'll deliver her message.
Looking forward to that. We'll carry that live for you.
All right. When President-elect Trump returns to office for a second term, it is possible he could have the chance to replace one or more justices on the Supreme Court after appointing 3 during his first term. Jonathan Turley is a constitutional law attorney and Fox News contributor, and he has the joy of answering our questions that we hope make sense. So set this up for us. I mean, what is at stake here? And, you know, what could the next 4 years look like?
Well, for the Supreme Court, those 9 citizens were probably glued to their TVs because, for one thing, the Supreme Court dodged a bullet in that you had Democratic senators saying they wanted to pack the court. One of them said that Kamala Harris was in support of that plan. That would have really been devastating to the court. But now you also have a little more breathing room for justices like Clarence Thomas, who's getting older, and maybe Samuel Alito. They now have a safe harbor period in which they can get a replacement who will be similar in terms of their jurisprudential views. And my guess is that one or both of them could very well use that. This is a margin that would guarantee that type of transition. The other big change, of course, is that many of the things that they've done over the last few years are now going to be cemented. The issue of abortion will remain with the states. Gun rights will remain robustly defended. So will religious freedom cases. So you're not going to have a change for at least a decade or so, very likely, in the makeup of the court as being more conservative. That also means that there's going to be a generation of Americans that are going to grow up with issues like abortion being decided by citizens in each individual state.
So there's also been talk that Sonia Sotomayor should step down. The talk has not been coming from her.
Yeah.
It's been coming from other people. I assume that she's not going to likely entertain retirement anytime soon.
Well, 2 things happened around 2:30 a.m. last night. One was the end the filibuster movement suddenly went silent on the left, and also the dump Sotomayor movement, which was coming from the left, encouraging her to retire, is also suddenly silent. This is a 4-year period, and so Justice Sotomayor will have to make her decision. Look, I supported her when the left was trying to give her the boot off the court. She's healthy. She's writing some of the most powerful opinions of her career. I don't see any reason why she would retire. So most of the eyes on the court are looking at Clarence Thomas, who's the older member of the court, and also possibly Alito. Many justices will wait for a safe harbor period so that their legacy is protected.
So Thomas is 76, Alito 74. I mean, you know, by Supreme Court standards, they're spring chickens.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they want to do something else.
That's right. But the thing is, they're both doing very well. They're both intellectually as sharp as they've always been. Thomas is more active in oral arguments than he has ever been in his career. So there's no real burning need. Now, there is a period of 2 years, a grace period, where a justice can make this move. When you're 2 years before the next election, that's the red line. And so if they're going to make this move, they really have to sort of think about doing it in the next year or so.
So that's great information and something to look for. While I put this up on the screen from our Fox News voter analysis, Jonathan, this is where voters stood in our survey on the Supreme Court. We asked, do you approve or disapprove on the way the Supreme Court is handling its job? Those that somewhat approve, 33%. Those that strongly approve, 17%. Safe to say this is, about even, although there's more who say they strongly disapprove and strongly somewhat disapprove.
Well, I mean, about 50% either approve or somewhat approve. That is astronomically higher than Congress. One of the things that I say to members of Congress who want to pack the court is that your institution is about as popular as Ebola. And so it's saying that, my gosh, the court's lost some of its support. The court is still ranked up there in one of the more popular institutions. And so I think that these justices want to return to normalcy. They really did not want to get involved in this election. You could see that in the decisions they were making. They wanted that cup to pass from their lips. I think they'll be very happy with this. The terrible thing is that a stable democracy broke out last night, so legal analysts were barely seen, and that's a very sad thing. But the good thing is we didn't have legal problems. If you see me, it's like seeing your cardiologist. It's not good news. So democracy was stronger, and I ate a lot of stuff in the green room.
It was great.
And you wrote a lot of articles.
I did write a lot of columns, yes.
And you've actually had less sleep than me.
Yeah, I've had zero sleep.
Maybe this is sleep deprivation, but I couldn't help thinking when you were describing that, having sat down with Justice Gorsuch on a couple of occasions, thinking about like a viewing party for the Supreme Court. He always says, we're all friends. We all have lunch together.
Yeah, I know. That's really funny. The view outside the court is so fascinating. They like each other.
Yeah,
they work very, very
absolutely.
well.
We got to run. Thank you, Professor, for being with us.
Jonathan.
All right,
Good
get
to
some
see you.
sleep tonight. Now this.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.